Hello everybody and welcome to another M&M Golf video. Today we're going to be talking about the truth about lies. And what that has to do with is side hill lies. And have you ever wondered why when you're hitting off of an extreme side hill lie, and I mean like ball above your feet or ball way below your feet, it's very difficult to hit the ball straight? Well, today we're going to show you why. We're going to let you know what you need to do to compensate for that, and then we're going to teach you a little bit about lines.
Hi everybody, this is the first phase of what we're working on today. We're going to be talking about ball below your feet. So things that we really need to understand regardless of where you are on the golf course in terms of a lie, uphill, downhill lie, side hill lie. We got to stabilize ourselves against the hill, whatever that hill is. From there, we start to work on how do we make a golf swing that we can maintain that stability and make good contact. So when I have ball below my feet, here we've made this pretty nice setup here for everybody to get this feel. I know that I'm going to have a ball that is further away from me. That means I've got to separate my feet more. Okay, now you want to make sure you're able to get into a squatting position a little bit more with this shot because I need to get to the golf ball. And here again, it's all about stability. I want to make sure that I'm staying stable before I even think of making a golf swing here. So as I get that golf club down to the ground here, it's very important that I feel like my core is engaged. I feel like my thighs and lower body are solid. And with this specific shot, probably not going to move my lower body a whole lot. So once I get set up here, now I go ahead and I'm going to start to make a golf swing. Now how does this golf swing work?
Hey Mark,
Yeah.
So with all the compensations you're making to enable you to stay in balance and hit this golf ball solidly at all,
Right.
and somewhat straight, how are these compensations going to affect your swing?
Well, definitely, since the golf ball is below my feet, I can't very well swing this club on a flatter plane. I'm going to be a lot more upright. Here again, I'm going to be reaching just a little bit more, not out, mind you, just down. And here again, I've got to try to stabilize myself. But for the most part, I'm going to be swinging on a more vertical plane action right here. So it's important that we stay stable so that we can move the golf club in a way that allows us to make that type of good contact. So here again, it's more vertical, not rounded. Now, as a result of all of this, it's going to have a tendency, the ball's going to have a tendency to move off to the right. So you'll have to experiment a little bit with it based on the club you're using, but we're going to have more of a tendency to aim left with the ball below our feet. So I'll aim slightly left. Here again, I'm going to make sure I'm in a good squat position, stable, put my hands down, and really feel like I'm able to stabilize myself, and then I'm going to be swinging on a more vertical plane. And I'm going to try to maintain that balance all the way through to my finish. Now, there is that chance that because of my lower body being really stable and not be able to move too much, that this golf club could turn over quickly and you hit it left. It's something you got to practice. But more, go ahead.
So, seeing as how you're bent over more, I noticed when you were making your swings that you had much less shoulder turn than normal because of the way you had to swing. Would this mean would you hit the same club as you normally would, or would you hit more club?
Definitely have to use more golf club. So since my body isn't able to move as well like we would with a normal golf swing on level ground, I'm going to have to make that change with just another club in my hand that's a little less lofted. So if I have like an 8-iron shot to the green with this type of a lie, usually I would then use a 7-iron if it's on a downhill line. So I want to make sure I'm not working too hard to try to hit this golf ball. And I don't want my hands to get too overactive, so I'm trying to hit it too hard and make the ball go left. That's why I'm going to use a little more loft a little less lofted club, 7-iron instead of an 8-iron.
Yeah, great. Do you want to here's a little club with a magnetic pointer. You want to show them what happens when how the ball, if you get the club level to the ground, try to get the club level to the ground, the lie angle.
If I get it level to the ground, you're going to find, and so I'll have to stand a little bit more here off of this, but if I get it level to the ground here,
You'll see how that pointer will start to go to the right.
It'll go to the right. So obviously with this kind of a lie, we won't have quite that amount, but we will have the tendency to hit the ball more to the right. So aim slightly left, stabilize the lower body, and make sure that you're able to make a golf swing where you're not going to fall out of balance, and you're going to be a more vertical, upright swinging action just because of how you're setting up to this golf ball.
Yeah.
That about covers it, I think.
I think it does. Great job.
All right, fantastic.
So I'm going to be talking about another type of side hill lie, and that's when the ball is above your feet. And really, I can't stress enough with all uneven lies, ball below your feet, ball above your feet, ball downhill shots, uphill shots, no matter what club you're hitting, it is so important to work on your stability and your tempo, and I think also to maybe make some practice swings to make sure that you can swing the club in that situation without losing your balance. Okay? So specifically when the ball is above your feet, if I were to try to hit this shot the way I would on level ground, or on a normal lie like I'm hitting on the driving range, two things would certainly happen. One, I'd probably stick the club in the ground way behind the ball because the ball is now a lot closer to me. And the other thing would be is the ball would go way to the left, quite a bit to the left, because the ball is above my feet. So the things that I would do to help you compensate for that would be, one, since the ball is closer to you, there's a couple things you can do. One, I would choke down. That's an easy thing to do. Make the club shorter. So choke down an inch and a half. I've had shots where I've choked down all the way down to the shaft when I'm pitching around the green, or my feet are standing in a bunker and the ball's way above my feet, way up here. You know, so you just have to do that. And then when you do that, there's some things you have to do, so we'll get into that. That's the first thing I would do. Two, since I already told you the ball's going to go to the left, you need to set up where you're aimed more to the right. Again, like Mark said, experiment a little bit as to how much to the right you need to aim depending on what club and what kind of shot you're hitting. Okay? Three, if the ball is pretty much above my feet, I don't think choking down would do enough. So I might want to stand up a little bit more, just like Mark was talking about widening the stance and squatting and bending over more. I might actually do less of that to compensate. I might try to stand up a little taller, have a little bit less bend. Okay? As far as the swing goes, this type of a lie, when you do these things, when you stand up a little taller and you bend a little bit less, and because the ball is above your feet, your swing is going to tend to be the opposite of what Mark was talking about. It's not going to be more upright, it's going to be more shallow or flatter. A lot of you understand flatter. So the swing is going to be more around your body. It's going to be more around your body, which is a good thing because it'll help that will actually help you hit the ball more solidly. So again, just to summarize, ball above your feet on a side hill lie, get stable, make some practice swings to make sure you're in balance, choke down on the club. I like to swing at about 70% tempo, and because I'm choking down and doing all these things, like Mark did on the side hill ball below your feet lie, I'm going to hit more golf club.
I got a question though. Are you going to use more club or less club when you have this type of lie, relative to what you normally would do on normal ground?
I'm going to use more club. And the reason for that is because I think the stability and the tempo and the balance is so important on all of these uneven lie shots that I'm going to be swinging at about 70% of my power rather than 85 or 90%. I'm also choking down the golf club, which is going to create less leverage. The ball's going to go less far. So I'm going to take more clubs. Sometimes 2 more clubs. Sometimes, like I said earlier, 3 more clubs.
One last question is does that mean that when you have a golf club in your hand, let's say that has more loft, should we do something more or less than a golf club that has less loft when we hit it?
I think a great question. we're going to show this a little bit later when we teach you a little bit about triangles, but specifically when the ball is above your feet. In fact, if you hand me that club, Mark, I can illustrate this. Great question. So what I have here is a wedge, and I have this thing that's magnetized, and we put it on the club to show you that when I set up to the golf ball on a level lie, and I sole it correctly, meaning that the club is soled evenly on the ground, you can see that this pointer is going to the target. By the way, it also shows you the loft on this golf club. It shows you that if you hit the club in this, if you hit the ball in this position, that's about how high the ball would take off your club. How much angle. But you notice that when I get up with the ball above my feet, and I level out that golf club, you can see just how far left.
Yeah.
I mean, this club is going, literally, if I'm hitting this wedge 110 yards or something, this thing could go left of the left bunker if I hit it well. So we're talking 40, 50, 60 feet even to the left, assuming I hit it solidly.
So you compensate by
aim more to the right. You could open the club more. The problem with opening the club more is that's going to affect how far you hit the ball. So now you got another thing you got to worry about. So I just aim more to the right.
What if you had a less lofted club? Is it going to be about the same as a wedge?
So if I grab a 3-iron, again, you're going to see that if I sole the club correctly, one, it's going to show you the angle of loft. It's going to go a lot lower, but you can see it's aimed straight. Assuming I make contact with the club in that position. As I hit off of with the ball more above my feet, you can see that the pointer is aimed more to the left, but not as much as with a wedge. So specifically when the ball is above your feet, the more lofted the club, for example, a pitching wedge, the ball, you're going to have to adjust more. You're going to have to compensate a little bit more by aiming a little bit more to the right to make sure you don't hit that ball to the left. Great question.
I think that covers it, right?
Great.
All right.
Okay. So we just talked a little bit about how much a side hill lie can influence the flight of the ball, meaning skew it to the left or to the right of your target just because of the lie angle on the club at impact. So if your irons are too upright for you, you'll see that when a club is too upright for you at impact, the toe of the club is off the ground and it's very heel heavy, and you can see when that happens, if you were to hit the ball in that position with the club too upright for you, the ball has to go left.
Yeah, you can see where this pointer is going. Yeah.
And the problem is, it doesn't go the same amount of left with every club. So what happens is when your clubs are ill-fitted to you, you go out and you hit 100 wedges until you figure out how to hit it straight. You compensate in all kinds of different ways. There's tons of ways to do it. And then you go, oh, got it, figured it out. And then you go to your golf bag, you put your wedge away and you grab your 5-iron and you make the same compensations and the ball doesn't go straight anymore. So then you spend another 10 or 15 minutes hitting your 5-iron, you get that figured out, you go back to your wedge and then that doesn't work. And you just kind of go back and forth and back and forth. So getting your lie angles correct is very important. On the other hand, if your lie angle is too flat for you, meaning the heel of the club is off the ground and the toe is down in the ground too much, toe heavy we call that, heel up, toe heavy, you can see how the ball is going to go more to the right. And again, as you practice, there's a lot of different ways you can compensate to try to hit the ball straight. Problem is it doesn't work the same with every golf club. So, do yourselves a favor, get your lie angles checked on your irons. It really only takes about 5 or 10 minutes and we'd be glad to help you do it.
Fantastic.